Before we get started, shout out to Nintendo. I couldn't get footage for this video myself, so I used his footage. Go check out his channel. The link is in the description. He makes some great videos. All right, on to the list. Alright, new year, new me, and the new me isn't gonna waste your time with a long-ass intro. The only rule is no cheese strats, but aside from that, everything goes. You ready? I'm ready. Let's go.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
I've fought tons of infamously terrible bosses. Boom Boom from Mario, Eggman's drill car from Sonic, Colonel Cluck from Donkey Kong Country Returns, Bruno from Pokemon, Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES, Ganon from the Zelda CDI games, Yellow Devil from Mega Man, Don Flamenco's rematch from Punch-Out, Wolf from Star Fox, Beast Bendy from Bendy and the Ink Machine, Burn Trap from FNAF Security Breach. You name 'em, I fought 'em. Cortex from Crash 2 genuinely surpasses all of them. Can you even call this a fight? All you do is chase Cortex and spin attack him when you get close enough. That's already not a great boss concept, but it gets worse. The main reason this fight is at the bitter bottom is because you literally cannot die. There's meteors and even spiky balls in this fight, yet none of it can hurt you. Hell, in the original, Cortex literally has his ray gun in his hand, and yet he doesn't use it. Yes, you can theoretically lose to Cortex if he makes it to the end, but that's never going to happen to anyone unless they either overthink what they're supposed to do, they're literally a fetus, or their name is XQC. And the worst part is this is the final boss. This would be laughably pathetic as a first boss, but as a final boss, this is horrible. If I were designing this fight, I would have made it so you need to spin meteors into Cortex to slow him down, then spin him. I would also make it so he actually uses his ray gun, and the spiky balls could actually do damage. The only thing I like about this fight is the music, but pretty much every Crash Bandicoot boss has great music, so I can't even give it that. Cortex in 2 is genuinely an awful fight, and for how amazing his track record in terms of fights is, this is beyond a low point for him and is easily my least favorite part of replaying Crash 2.
Pogo power! Boing boing!
Ripperoo's fight in Crash 1, while simple, is very memorable, so when they brought him back in the second game, I was pretty excited. He has some great character development, now being a scientist studying mutants like Crash. The music is also an improvement from his Crash 1 theme. It's all really good. And then the fight starts. His whole fight consists of him using his cane as a pogo stick, bouncing around and laying TNT as he goes. Once the TNT explodes, he goes completely crazy and starts bouncing around again, now laying nitro down instead of TNT, which is much more dangerous than TNT because it will explode as soon as Crash steps on it. When the nitro explodes, he gets stunned, giving you an opportunity to spin attack him. It sounds pretty decent in concept, but in practice, it's boring. On the second and third hits, he does change his pattern, but it really doesn't make the fight harder, and you can just stand at the bottom of the arena and avoid his attacks with ease. Overall, it's not a bad fight, but it's just soul-suckingly boring.
You could slip a noose over the head of a Komodo dragon, but with a violent thrash, the stick could be ripped away.
We're not even a fourth of the way into the list, and I've already listed off 60% of the bosses from Crash 2. Don't worry, after this, we won't be seeing Crash 2 for a good while. The Komodo Bros are easily the most generic fight in the series, being the standard dodge and punish fight this series just loves to throw out. The skinny brother, Joe, will spin around and eventually get dizzy, allowing you to spin him into the other brother, Mo. After that, Mo will slowly, and I mean slowly, throw scimitars around the arena. The only thing I like about this fight is how in the third phase, Mo will throw the scimitars while Joe is spinning. But aside from that, this fight is just generic. But at least there's more going on in this fight than with Ripperoo.
Somebody tell E Honda to wake up. He in the wrong game.
Some people are probably surprised Papu Papu is this high, and yes, 13 out of 16 is considered high for Papu Papu. That said, I just think he does a good job introducing how boss fights work. I also think the game has been relatively easy up to this point, so having an easy boss fight really isn't a big deal. In fact, in my opinion, I think this fight is placed a bit too early in the game. In my opinion, it should have been placed right after Native Fortress. I think that would have been the sweet spot. That said, an underrated boss fight who I think people are too hard on. He's a first boss, cut him a little bit of slack.
Say hello to my little friend!
Pinstripe easily has the best first impressions of any boss in the first game, having a whole ass Tommy gun. Nope, not a laser gun or something stupid like that, a Tommy gun. No censorship here. But then the actual fight happens. For the first phase, he just unloads his gun, runs to the other side of the arena, rinse and repeat. Just hide behind the chairs and hit him while he runs to the other side. After 3 hits, he'll go into his second phase where he stops running back and forth and will instead just jump. And in order to hit him, you just have to wait for his gun to jam, then you can hit him. While the first phase is good, the second phase is just a boring and generic wait and punish fight. Next!
Kaboom!
Yes, Rico. Kaboom.
Ripperoo being insane is a perfect reflection of how insane the devs must have had to be to think the jump in difficulty going from Papu Papu to this fight was anywhere close to reasonable, but hey, Ripperoo's still a pretty good fight. Ripperoo will jump around in simple patterns, his first phase pattern being middle, bottom left, middle, bottom right, repeat, his second phase pattern being middle, left, bottom, right, repeat, and the final phase pattern being top, left, bottom, right. The only way to beat him is to time jumping on the big TNT to blow up while he's next to it, which is difficult because the big TNT takes a long time to explode. That said, the reason he's this low is because the only difficulty of this fight comes from dealing damage. Ripperoo himself is barely a threat due to his patterns being incredibly easy to avoid, and the TNT not being a threat either. I've seen some people say this fight is difficult because of the water, which is an insta-kill if you fall in, but nobody whose name isn't Markiplier is actually going to fail due to the pits being so small. That said, trying to hit Ripperoo is enough of a challenge and is unique enough to make this fight better than a second fight. Koala Kong. Wow, 4 Crash 1 bosses back to back to back to back. Listen, the first game just has a lot of mid bosses, okay? Cut me some slack. This fight has Koala Kong throwing coal at you while TNT drops from the ceiling. After a few throws, he'll throw a bigger piece of coal at you, which you can dodge and hit back at him. Now, this may sound simple, but there's a lot of things about this fight that make it really good. First of all, you can spin attack the smaller pieces of coal, which actually takes a decent amount of timing, which I appreciate. Also, you can't just immediately spin the big piece of coal back at him after dodging it due to the minecarts going across the background, which forces you to actually time your spin. Also, Koala Kong has a lot of neat characterization that a lot of people often overlook, like the fight being unwinnable if he didn't just flex constantly. I've always been a Koala Kong defender, and this fight is a good part of the reason why.
I am Dr. Nefarious Troopy, master of time and the creator of the very time twister machine you see before you.
I don't think anyone would disagree with me when I say if I were to rank the games in terms of boss fights, the list would go 2, 1, and 3. 3 easily has the best boss lineup, with 80% of the bosses being great. That said, the 20% is Entropy. Don't get me wrong, his fight is pretty good, with him using beams and fireballs you need to either jump over or duck under. After a bit of that, he'll create some platforms for you to jump across, allowing you to hit him. That said, there's one problem, that being that it's just too easy. This is the 3rd boss in the game, and both bosses before him are harder than him, which stings even more due to how much of a threat Entropy is portrayed as, even though of all the doctors, he easily has the worst boss fight track record.
Fall.
While I have always been a Koala Kong defender, I gotta admit, Tiny does have the better boss fights in my opinion. Tiny will jump around the stage on platforms, except unlike Ripperoo, he jumps directly after Crash, and you can't directly deal damage to Tiny. Instead, you need to wait until certain platforms drop and get him to be on those platforms while they fall. The only thing about this fight I don't like is the fact that Tiny doesn't have any other attacks, which is odd, because you'd think he'd use those arms for something. That aside, I still really like this fight.
Crash! Coco! Stole the pretty crystals! Tiny, take them back in Gladiator Arena!
Well, right after the first Tiny fight, we have the second Tiny fight. Now, his main attack here is really basic and easy to avoid, with him just jumping around and trying to stab you with a trident. That said, it's his attack he does after you hit him that really makes this fight good. That being the horde of lions he summons. Lions will run out of these halls and you need to avoid them. Yes, you can spin attack them, but that takes incredibly precise timing. Yes, there is the infamous exploit you can use, but once again, we're not counting G-strats.
I was in the first game!
Embryo is definitely the best boss in Crash 1 character-wise. First of all, first impressions are really good in this fight, because just look at that health bar. The first phase has him throwing beakers at you. Red beakers explode while green beakers summon little slimes that you can kill in order to damage Embryo. He also has a unique animation where he smashes the glass beakers on Crash if you get too close, killing him, which is a nice touch. After knocking him down to 1 HP, he'll throw a ton of red beakers at you, and then you think, yeah, he's just gonna throw another green beaker and you can take him. Wait, why is he drinking it? That can't be healthy. Yeah, he just turns into a muscle monster. Contact with him at all is an instant kill, which really helps to sell that Embryo is now a powerhouse. In order to hit him, you need to jump on the debris he causes to fall and jump on his head. The only thing I don't like about this fight is the hitbox on his head in the second phase. It's a lot smaller than it seems, and it led to a lot of stupid deaths on my first playthrough. But aside from that, Embryo manages to hit all the right story beats while still being a great fight.
This time I shall reign triumphant!
Cortex in the first game is about as fun as Embryo gameplay-wise. He shoots 3 different types of shots at you from his ray gun. Purple shots are just basic shots, blue shots will come at you from the side, requiring you to dodge carefully, and green shots are what you need to spin back at him to damage him. That said, this fight is a bit too easy for my taste. For being the final boss, he's simple to understand, and dodging his projectiles is easy for the most part. That said, the thing that brings him higher than Embryo is the atmosphere. The background being the burning castle helps to sell just how much damage you did without even knowing it, and the music is just amazing. It manages to be both atmospheric and still great to listen to. While this fight isn't the best from a gameplay perspective, it really exemplifies the amazing environmental storytelling the first game excels at, which is why it's my favorite of the trilogy. That said, other bosses manage to have a great atmosphere while still being a lot more fun.
So, you want to go a few rounds? When this is over, we'll see who's obsolete!
If there's a character who everyone can agree has a great track record of boss fights, it has to be Engine. Engine is the stereotypical Dr. Eggman / Dr. Wily ripoff. That said, his fight in Crash 3 is more Star Fox than anything else. You're put in a dogfight in space, and in order to beat him, you need to shoot all the parts of his mech while he's actively shooting you. And after you destroy the first mech, he has a second mech prepared. That all sounds amazing. So why is he not higher than his Crash 2 appearance? Well, this fight is a bit too easy. Now, don't get me wrong, his attacks are hard to dodge, but you would just have so much HP that it really doesn't matter. I also think the boss gets easier as you shoot parts of his mech, because every time you destroy a part of his mech, that's one less attack he has. Now, you might be thinking, well, how are they supposed to combat that? Well, I'd like to bring up another dogfight style boss with a giant robot, that being Dr. Call from Cuphead. The first phase of this fight has you taking out parts of his mech, except after you destroy the 3 attacking parts of his mech, he replaces those attacks with other attacks. Now, that might be too complicated for a Crash boss, but maybe they could have scrapped the second phase, and used the attacks from the second phase as the attacks when parts of his mech are destroyed. Now, I know I'm talking about what could have been when I only account for what is, but I'm just giving suggestions. I don't think this fight is bad, it's just that the fights in S tier all manage to be on the same level of quality this one is, while still providing a genuine challenge.
Besides, it goes really well with my giant robot.
Wait, what?
Speaking of engine, his fight in Crash 2 is a lot better. This fight gives off a lot more Dr. Eggman inspiration, mainly with the mech's design. As for gameplay, you need to throw Wumpa Fruit at parts of his mech while they're firing, similarly to his Crash 3 fight. The difference between that fight and this one is this fight is actually difficult, with all of his attacks being hard to dodge while also dealing damage to him. There was a time where I had him as my runner-up and even considered giving him the gold, but after fighting the other 2 bosses above him so many times, I can't in good faith give him that title.
Beware of Uka Uka, my children. He is a far more dangerous enemy than anyone can imagine.
Cortex in Crash 3 is an amazing battle. You're put in a 2v2 with you fighting Cortex while Aku Aku fights Uka Uka. Cortex will try and shoot you with his ray gun, then throw mines at you. After that, his shield will fail and you can spin him into the hole in the middle of the arena. While his attacks are pretty simple, Aku Aku and Uka Uka throw a wrench in everything, adding an extra layer to this fight. The first phase has them doing the anime laser beam struggle scene, the second phase has them doing the cartoon ball of dust fight scene, and the third phase has them collide to create an explosion. Having to pretty much deal with 2 fights at the same time makes this fight overwhelming at times, and I haven't even mentioned the atmosphere. The music is absolutely amazing, and it really feels like the end of a saga. I also like the cutscene after this fight.
Maybe I should retire to a nice big beach with a nice big drink and a woman with nice big bags of ice for my head.
The only thing I don't like about this fight is it doesn't change in the refight in the 100% ending. That said, this is still an amazing fight. But despite me thinking it was going to be my number 1 for so long, one fight surpassed it. Can you guess who it is?
Right. Now you've gone and done it. Them crystals are mine. Break out the butter. I'm gonna make toast.
Man, Dingodil's fight is so good. I adore this fight. First of all, when you step into his arena, he's trying to shoot a baby penguin with his flamethrower. I mean, you go, Dingodile, I hated those penguins in Crash 2 anyway. He shoots fireballs up into the air, which can be genuinely challenging to dodge. After that, he'll shoot directly at you, breaking any crystals in his path. This is the peak of bait and punish style fights. You don't wait for an opening, you make the opening. That's cool enough, but he'll actually try to cut you off by looking at which way you're going and shooting there. Once you get an opening, you can spin attack him, but you then need to find the opening again and to get out before his tank explodes on you. Pause. I love that. Everything about this fight is amazing, from the baiting to having to make the opening, to the difficulty, to the badass line he says before the fight, to the amazing music. God, I sound like a fanboy. But what can I say? This fight is the best of all the fights, having good difficulty, music, atmosphere, and quality, making it my pick for the best fight in the Crash Bandicoot and Sane trilogy. And that was the list. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Let me know. Would you like me to cover the other Crash games and their bosses? Let me know that too. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, then spin attack that like button and the subscribe button too. At 200 subs, I'll make a Discord server. Be fruity, stay fruity, and hopefully I'll see you later. Bye-bye!